In the same way as we have different languages of Wikipedia that are tackling the same concept, but perhaps that are actually focusing on different things because of the cultural background that goes with the different language. Have you been thinking to actually have different articles for the same concept, but not because of a different language, but because perhaps of a different perspective or because of a different community, in the sense that instead of trying really hard to come to a consensus and perhaps to distill the information to the maximum so that it actually is neutral, to actually embrace the fact that there is a diversity of perspective over a particular topic and actually enable multiple pages to emerge that are focusing on those different perspectives.
So we haven't done anything at this point around sort of forked articles that would allow you to say, look at this article from one perspective, look at this article from another perspective. I tend to come down on the side of that would probably break the model, because what the model does effectively is push to some sort of effort to achieve consensus and pauses when consensus can't be reached, right? So controversial information is not inserted until consensus can be reached around it. And so it might be that evolution of understanding on particular topics is a little bit slower on Wikipedia than it is in scholarship, but that's actually sort of core to the way that Wikipedia thinks of itself functioning. To your point, this is an issue in a variety of different languages where you'll have a different perspective. I just came back from Warsaw and our Central Eastern European Community Conference, which brought together people from 23 different countries and at least as many languages, from Uzbekistan to Germany to Russia to Republic of Srpska. And as you can well imagine, these communities have very different historical experiences of their own truth. And so one of the interesting projects that they do is they have something where they all edit about each other's history as a means of understanding and enriching the coverage that exists within their own language. Because understandably, Albanian has a lot of articles about Albanian history, but it might not have so many articles about Greek history. And so that's one of the things where they're really trying to think about how do you enrich that broad-based perspective as a whole. I am very interested with how, as I think two things are going to start to force us to reconcile or start to engage with how do you reconcile very divergent experiences of history. One of which is the advent of Wikidata really becoming far more integrated within Wikipedia as a whole, because you'll start to be able to link articles one-to-one based on their subject matter in a way that is currently impossible. There's no superset of Wikipedia. English isn't the largest of the Wikipedias, and everything else is sort of a bad copy of it. They're all completely different in terms of the content that they have, but Wikidata will start identifying that. And the other one is just machine translation gets better and better and better every day, so you can start to see divergent viewpoints within the historical record. I was talking about this with a person in Beirut recently who was saying the way that they address this is they would write an article if it says, the history of the Middle East, the Sykes-Picot Agreement. What they would actually do is they'd fork the article and they'd say the West or the Occidental scholarship of the Sykes-Picot Agreement versus Arabic scholarship of the Sykes-Picot Agreement. And that would be the way that they would address this, is understanding the different body of knowledge as represented and created through different perspectives and identifying and addressing those both as neutral representations of where this body of knowledge exists rather than trying to reconcile or fork the articles themselves.